Hey, everybody, welcome back to House 6, the movie podcast about movies. And we are continuing our Best Picture watch with Casablanca from 1942. That's right. This is about 1943 movies, but it came out like November 1942 and then had its wide release in January 1943. So that's why we have two 1942 movies. So that explains it real fast. So before we start talking about it, we like to give our little poster blurb if we were doing that for the movie. So in 3 words or less, how do you describe this movie? Is anyone prepared for this? Thomas, go.
Play it again.
I was going to say that. Dang it, Thomas.
Michael,
Fine.
go.
Stupid, boring crap.
Okay. Michael, go.
You wouldn't put that on a poster.
No can leave.
No kidding.
I'll put overrated, but question mark.
But question
Or I'm sorry. or would you say, do you have watch? Yes, watch is 10. Oh.
All right. So the 16th Academy Awards were held March 2nd, 1944 at the historic Raumans Chinese Theater in Hollywood. The move to a larger venue was the first to allow admission to for the general public and was the end of the traditional banquet. The show was hosted by comedian Jack Benny and broadcasted internationally by CBS Radio. Casablanca went up against 9 other nominees for Best Picture, including For Whom the Bell Tolls and Heaven Can Wait. The Song of Bernadette won the most awards at 4 after receiving the most nominations that night with 12. And The Oxbow Incident is the last film to be nominated for Best Picture and no other award. MGM's Tom and Jerry finally ended Disney's domination of the animated shorts and started its own run of Oscar success with the Yankee Doodle Mouse. Do you remember that one?
Dancing with the...
No, it's the one where they're like pretending it's war. You remember that one?
They do that a lot.
Where him and Tom, it's like World War II.
I don't remember that one.
Okay. I think you would if you like see some pictures from it. But For Whom the Bell Tolls was the third film to receive nominations in all 4 acting categories. Charles Coburn and Katina Paxnu won the Best Supporting Acting awards, receiving full-size statuettes instead of the mini ones they used to give out. See, if you were a supporting actor, you only got a little small.
You got a supporting statue.
Yeah. Okay, the movie 1942's Casablanca from Warner Brothers Studios was directed by Michael Curtiz, who would win Best Director for the film, and stars Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. Bogey was nominated for Best Actor for his role as Rick Blaine and was named the greatest actor of classic cinema by AFI, and won his only Oscar for his role in the African Queen. Ingrid Bergman, an icon herself, is tied for most acting Oscars with 3, receiving 2 Best Actress awards for Gaslight and Anastasia, and has won or was nominated for a variety. I mean, I've never seen a person with so many award nominations than her.
Meryl Streep.
I don't care. The star's height was an issue during filming, as Bergman was 2 inches taller than Bogart, and he was forced to stand on some blocks or sit on extra cushions. AFI listed her as the 4th greatest actress of the classic cinema era. The movie was an adaptation of an unproduced drama called Everybody Comes to Rick's. Those involved with the production of the film were said to have little confidence in it, but little confidence that the film would be something special. But today, it is often considered one of the best films ever made. All right. So before we start with the plot, let's go to the actors, and it's Humphrey Bogart, and it's Ingrid Bergman, and you guys can tell me who you liked or who you didn't, if there was a person you didn't. So go ahead. What do you think of Humphrey Bogart's turn in this one?
Go ahead.
Okay. Um, I love Humphrey Bogart. I like his Maltese Falcon, and one of my favorite movies that he's ever done is Sabrina with Audrey Hepburn. He plays a romantic lead, but it's kind of a not serious one like this one. I love his role in this. I think he looks so freaking cool in that trench coat and very iconic. So, especially with the subtle acting when he does the flashback and he's sitting at the piano. Play it again, which play it again, Sam is the supposed iconic line, but that's not what he says. He just says play it again. Um, so yeah, really like him. Bergman is great. I her character is a little odd for me though, because I'm just like, you really like this guy, but you're also married to this guy in a concentration camp. It's like maybe a little more sympathy toward the guy in the concentration camp, but okay, I get it. It's war. So, but yeah, I really like both the leads.
Yeah, no problem with any performances of anyone really, but yeah, the two leads especially. It's one of those words like watching it again. I was like, oh yeah, there's a big age gap there. It's always a little weird, but I feel like they play it really well to where it doesn't feel weird at all. Like they just have like easy conversations and that kind of like longing in their eyes and everything like that. But yeah, great performances.
Jared, you like Bogey?
So I'll start off with saying that I'm not sure if I've seen either of these two and other things. I don't watch older movies. Their performances were fine. I don't like these characters. I don't like the main dude. He rubs me wrong for some reason. I don't find him endearing or charming. And then her, I just don't really. They have no charm to me. I'm just like, these are characters.
I don't like the chemistry between them, but
I feel like he's supposed to be charming, though. He's very much like a down.
I don't like whatever he's got. So.
We're going to get into it, though, because, I mean, I'm sure if anyone's watched us before, they know that we disagree on this movie. But Bogey, I will say, I'm not a big fan, but I do like him better in this than I did in the Maltese Falcon. I did not really like Maltese Falcon, but we are going to get into the plot. I should say Peter Lorre is in this, and me and Jonah just watched The Man Who Knew Too Much, so it was fun seeing him again.
You despise me.
All right, and he was good in this too. I like Peter Lorre. Okay, so plot. We start with the WB shield, of course, and we get the map of Africa, and we get some narration, and then there's a clay globe. And the narration goes into kind of the refugees moving from Europe into Africa, and they all want exit visas, and the guy says it like visas, and I thought that was funny. So they're all waiting. We get a shot, and everyone's kind of waiting. We get this old British couple, and they're having like a cafe experience. And they're like, "Oh, that guy is so sweet," because there's this local guy talking to him. Oh, he's a real good guy. And then he's like, "Oh, where's my wallet?" We get an APB out on a murder, right? Because there's someone had killed the German courier, so they're looking for this guy. And someone's trying to get out, and the cops get on. These papers are expired, and the man runs and they shoot him. So amusing little man was the guy I was talking about at the cafe. And one of the people says, because we see a plane fly in and we see this couple, and she's like, hopefully we'll be on a plane pretty soon. So they're going to be on that plane. So the plane that arrives is actually from a bunch of guys from the German government. The bad guy, he's a major, I believe. And then, so the French captain goes out to meet them. The Italian guy's like, "Hey guys, I'm here too." And they're like, "We don't care about you, Italian guy." And he tells the German guys, like, "Everyone comes to Rick." So we get the line from what the play was named after. So we get a shot of everyone doing some business at Rick's. You got a lady trying to sell some diamonds, and the guy's like, "We got tons of diamonds. We don't need those." We get some guys talking, about the war, and then they have to quiet up when the German guys get in there. We got diamonds everywhere. I said that one. And then people are ordering drinks, And the old lady's like, hey, tell Rick to come over here. We'll drink with him. And the waiter's like, hey, Rick never drinks with the customers. That's his rule. And then we get introduced to Rick. He signs a check, and then it pans up, and he's playing chess. And it's good old bogey. So then he has to bounce someone out of there because the guy's trying to get in. And he looks at the bouncer, and he's like, nah, don't let that guy in. And that guy's like, do you know who I am? And Rick's like, you can have something at the bar, but, we don't really want you here. We get introduced to Peter Lorre's character. So he comes in. He wants Rick to like him. And Rick's like, I don't really care about you, but if I did, I probably wouldn't like you. Peter Lorre's got some exit visas that he's trying to sell. And he doesn't want him on his person that night, so he gives them to Rick to hold us onto him. And Rick's like, I'll do it, but not overnight. So you got to get rid of these right away because they're hot materials. We get a big fat guy named Ferrari comes in. And he tries to buy the bar. He tries to buy Sam, and Rick's like, I don't sell people. I'm not in that business. Sam sees a girl that he was with the night before, and she's like, oh, where'd you go, Rick? And he's like, get out of here. I don't date the same girl twice. Just go on your merry way. Yeah. So the French captain comes in, and they're talking, and he's like, why they get into like, why do you stay here, Rick? Because he's American, right? So why don't you go back to America? He doesn't really tell him, kind of just like gives him the runaround. And he tells Rick, I almost spilled my microphone. He tells Rick that they're going to make an arrest, and there's this very special person coming. And it is one named Victor Laszlo. So Rick kind of knows that name. Everyone kind of knows that name. And Rick tells him that he doesn't stick his neck out for no man. So he's not going to get in the way. Oh yeah, because they're trying to arrest the guy, right? And the guy, Peter Lorre's character, right? He almost gets arrested, or he is getting arrested, and he runs to Rick for help. And Rick's like, I don't know, just get away from me, man. And they arrest him, and the guy tells him like, dang, Rick, when I get arrested, I hope you were a little more helpful than that. And that's when he says, I don't stick my neck out for no man. So Laszlo arrives, and he's got his wife with him, Elsa, right? Is that her name in this? And she's like, hey, she sees Sam at the piano, and she's like, hey, I know that guy. And she's like, hey, remember me, Sam? And he's like, baby, I don't know. And she tells him, hey, Sam, play it, Sam. And he's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And she finally gets him to play it because she hums a few bars for him. And Rick comes in, and he's angry to hear the song. And he's like, I thought I told you never play that song in here. And then he sees what's her name, and everything comes rushing back to him, and he's shocked. So the night goes on. And Rick is, he's in a bad way. He's drinking, and Sam comes, and he's like, you going to bed? And he's like, I'm not going to bed. And he's like, I'm never going to bed. And Sam's like, okay, I'll never go to bed too. And he gives that famous line about all the gin joints and all the towns and whatever. Then we get the scene. It's like a montage of the past. It shows Rick, and it shows Elsa in Paris. And, they're loving it, doving up. But there's also war going on, so they got to get out of there. And, they show all the Sams there, too. And on the night they're supposed to leave, it's raining. And before Rick had asked Elsa to marry him, and she got really like, oh, no. She starts panicking. And then we find out that she had left him a note. And he reads in it, basically just says, I can't go with you, and I can't explain why. And so he gets dumped in the rain. So the German guy and the French guy are talking. And I like this one because they were like, he calls them like blundering Americans, and the French guy's like, "Be careful, those blundering Americans, because they like blundered all of their way to Berlin last time." So, I like that part. So they talk to Laszlo. He comes in to talk to the German guy, and he knows that he had escaped the concentration camp, and he wants him to give up some names of the resistance and all over these countries and stuff. And he's like, I didn't give it to you back then, so I'm not going to give it to you now. And that kind of makes the German guy angry. Rick visits Ferrari, and he tells Rick that like he can get one out, but he can't get two out. And they talk, and then he leaves, and he sees Elsa in the market, and they talk, and then Laszlo goes in to talk to Ferrari. Where was I? Oh, she tells him what was up. She tells him that Laszlo was actually her husband the whole time, even when they were in Paris. So this kind of does not make Rick too happy. And Ferrari can't get them both out. I said that. So they go back to Rick's. There's a fight in the bar. And then between two soldiers, to America. I don't remember what that's about. They got to go. I think Rick says that he wants to go to America now, that he's going to use the visas on him and Elsa. So he kind of makes a plan with the captain. A girl comes in. So this girl, we first heard mention of a girl when the French captain and the German major were talking, and when they were leaving, he's like, "Oh, she's ready to see you." And so this girl, actually, they're Bulgarian, and her husband, and they need to get out. And so she pleads with Rick to get him out. Well, no, she first asks about the captain's, honor. Is he going to honor his agreement? Because he'll get him out, but they got to pay him a lot of money. So the husband's over there in the casino trying to win the money. And so Rick goes over there, and he's like, "Hey, put it all on 22." And he kind of nudges him to or put it on 22, and he keeps winning. So they win it, and everyone's excited. Because the waiter guy, he kind of like, "Oh, good for you, Rick. I saw what you did over there." And the wife's all excited because they can get out of there now. And the captain's not excited because he kind of had his eye on the wife, and Rick kind of messed that up. So we get the famous dueling anthem scene. Some Germans are singing the German anthem, and then the Laszlo comes out, and he's like, "Hey, start singing the French anthem." So they all start singing the French anthem, and they outpower the Germans, and this makes the German major very upset. So he's like, "Close the bar. I don't care what you have to say to close it." And so the French captain makes everyone leave, and Rick's like, "Why are you closing us?" And he's like, "I'm shocked that there's gambling going on here." And then here's your gambling winning, sir. So I think that was a very funny part. And he's like, "Oh, big." And be careful, Victor. And okay, so Victor, I can't remember what part happens next. Okay, so you must give me okay, so it's nighttime, and Elsa comes in, and she's like, "You got to give me the letters." And Rick's like, "I'm only, fighting for myself. I don't fight for other people." And she actually pulls a gun on him, and she's like, "Give me those letters." He's like, "Do it. I dare you."
You won't, coward.
So they're hiding out at Rick's bar, and Laszlo actually comes in with the waiter guy, and I guess they were at a meeting, but the Germans broke it up and then kind of chased him over here. And Victor's hurt. He hurt his hand punching glass. So yeah, I mentioned this part where Rick tells the French guy he's going to use the letters himself. His plan is to get him and Elsa out of there, because Elsa had told him that she still loves him. And so he's like, she tells him, I can't make the choice. You got to make the choice. So he's like, all right, I'll do it.
You got to think for all of us. I was like, dang,
yeah.
lady.
You got to make the decision. So he does. And he kind of sets up the end game. He sells the bar to Ferrari, make sure Sam is taken care of. And then they go to the bar to meet up, and he's got the visas, and French guy comes in because he had told him he had made this plan where he's like, okay, I'm gonna have you arrest Laszlo so it'll look good. Him trying to get the visas, and then you could put him away, and then I can go away with Elsa. So the captain agreed that, but then Rick pulls a gun on the captain. He's like, yeah, change of plans, take us to the airport. And this is the famous ending. All these lines because all these lines have been said before. So you got to get on that plane or you'll regret it. Maybe not this day, maybe not that day. So he tells her to get on the plane, even though she still loves him. And she gets on with Victor, and he's like, hey, she tried to seduce me for the tickets, but, here you go. You guys go. So he gives up. He does the right thing and lets them leave. And then the major's like coming in the car because he got a phone call because the French captain, still kind of like trying to do his duty. And he had called him, and so the German drives over there, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they're like, "Laszlo's on that plane. He's flying away." And he's like, so the major's going to call the cops, and Rick's like, "No, get away from there!" And he shoots the major, and the major's dead. And they're like, we're going to get in a lot of trouble for this, Rick. But at the end, the French captain's like, he was shot, and he doesn't really tell him that it was Rick. So they're like, hey, we're going to join the resistance now, right? And then we get the famous line of, this looks like a beginning of a beautiful friendship. So that is the plot of Casablanca. So now we can get into it. Why two of us don't really like the movie and why two of us really like the movie. So I think last time we heard why Michael liked it. So let's go with the negative part first. So Jared, how come you don't like this movie?
I'll be back.
It's so boring in this most recent viewing, because I've seen it multiple times in the past, but this most recent view, I do enjoy it from when she confronts Rick at night. About like their history and like she still loves him till the end. I think that's a pretty good part. I think from there it's good. Everything before, again, I fell asleep. I had to watch this twice because I fell asleep in the middle. I was so freaking bored. I thought in my older age I'd be like, okay, I'll appreciate this more, but I conked out.
I'm actually the opposite. I like up to the part with the flashback, and then I don't like the rest. So
what I'm hearing is that you both don't like separate parts.
Yeah.
But if you put them together, you have one I don't like and another I like. So that by that reasoning, there's more people that like this movie than hate it.
Yeah.
So,
in the fantasy world, maybe that works, Thomas. But.
I do enjoy the famous lines, of course. I forgot that one at the very end, this looks like the beginning of a beautiful friendship. I forgot that was from this movie. So I was like, oh, that's a good line. And but yeah, man, dude, up until that part where she confronts him, I'm falling asleep, dude. I don't give a crap about what's happening in this movie. I mentioned how I don't like the two main characters. Like, I don't think they have good chemistry and stuff like that. I actually like the Laszlo guy. I think he's a good character. Mm-hmm. He's really like cool with Rick about like, hey, no one did really anything wrong. I don't care about what happened. You don't have to explain anything to me. But then Rick was like, no, I'll give you my point of view or like my side of the story. I was like, that's pretty cool amongst bros. I was like, they're kind of broing it out right now. That's fine. But yeah, man, I still don't like this movie. I can I can respect it, but I don't like it.
Yeah, like I was gonna say that this has a better plot than most movies these days. This has better plotting, like the way that he loses the guy, Peter Lorre's character. He gets arrested, and he had given him the tickets. So Rick has the tickets to make this decision. That's great plotting for like a movie, and I don't think we get that kind of plotting nowadays. But yeah, for me, I said I was the opposite. I like the first part where they're all at Rick's and you see like the different stories going on, and then even Rick's introduction, the way they introduce him by panning up, and I like that stuff. I just I don't buy into the relationship at all. I don't, like you said, I don't like the chemistry and it doesn't help. Like I might have liked this movie better if they cut out the flashback, because that whole sequence, it just kills it for me. I don't want to see Humphrey Bogart pretending to be all happy and silly when we just know him as kind of a grump. And then I know the age difference thing. It just bugs me because he's always calling her a kid. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the age difference between adults, but even the line where he's like, "What'd you do 10 years ago?" "I was embracing."
that one's weird.
It's like, that's a regrettable line. But yeah, and then she's super naive about everything, and she's just like wishy-washy between the two love interests. And like Thomas said, it's not a real great look that you couldn't wait for your guy who was suffering in a camp, and he kind of forgives her for that. He's like, "I've been lonely too. I know what it like to be lonely," but it's not a great look. I don't even like the famous song. Do you like the song, Jared?
No, I didn't want.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say no. I don't want to do it.
I mean, there's better older songs they could have put in this movie, but it just doesn't do it for me. I understand a lot of people think it's one of the best movies ever. I understand that, but
And I went into this because, like, after watching these older movies, I've liked a lot of the ones we watch, and I was like, okay, I'm more mature. And then I went into this. I was like, I'm gonna like this movie now. It's gonna change my mind. And then I fell asleep.
Big boy now.
And then I fell asleep. I was like, okay, so it's the movie. It's not me.
Yeah,
so
it's like, yeah, because like to me, if we went back and ranked all these movies, I still think I would like Happened One Night, the best movie we've seen so far.
That was really
but
good.
that's me.
It was a good one.
All right, so we heard the negative, so let's get into the positive. So Thomas, why do you like this movie so much?
I mean, it's a classic for me. I mean, I watched this when I was a kid. So I watched a lot of older movies when I was a kid, and this was like in the criteria of older movies. But yeah, like the story is so well written, just in general. I think it's so well written because, like, you look at modern movies and they don't have a good plot line, they don't have good characters, like nothing makes sense. But this one, and also for this one, I think it's very interesting for me, kind of in a historical context. They made this movie about World War II, during World War II, and some of the politics I think is fascinating. Like the French Captain Renault, he's like my favorite character because he's this French guy who obviously loves being French, but he's kind of pigeonholed into being this Vichy, puppet. And he's even talking to the German officers. He's like, "Oh, I go where the wind blows, and that blowing right now is Vichy." But you can tell he's just like, "I freaking hate this job because it's making me do things that I never wanted to do." And the what's his name, Laszlo, her husband. I like that it's like, "You were Czechoslovakian once, right?" And I'm like, that's actually a very good point. That used to be Czechoslovakia, not the Czech Republic. Czech Republic is now. And that's when Germany invaded and it was part of the Third Reich. And when it got uninvaded, it became the Czech Republic. But there's just like small things like that I find fascinating. I like the fact that the Italian guy is so pushed to the side because the Italians were a joke during World War II, like just because they were so mistreated by the Germans and everybody else. They're like, oh, if he can get a word in edgewise, that's a victory. That's a victory for Italy right there. But yeah, I think the best line in the movie, honestly, I told Michael this today, is it's like, sir, it's like, why are you shutting us down? It's like, sir, I am shocked to find gambling is going on in this this establishment. Sir, here are your winnings. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Oh, and yeah, I love as time goes by, I love that song. I think my favorite rendition is Harry Connick Jr.'s version. Apparently the guy that sang this wasn't even a singer. He just sang it and they kept it. And I'm like, that's pretty great.
Well, he was going to do the score. And so he put this in and they're like, yeah, just keep that in. And because he was going to write a different song for it.
But and that's what's kind of fascinating about this movie. It seemed it was like piecemealed together, but it came together so well. So, like this was like a third rewrite, I think, of the script. Because and even during they're like, okay, this doesn't work. As they were shooting, they kept bringing different lines and stuff in, and so. But yeah, I really like this movie, and I am a sucker for older movies. I know that's a weakness of mine, so I fully acknowledge that. So, but. That's about all I got to say for now. So go for it, Michael.
Yeah, I didn't watch this until 2020 when I had COVID for the first time. So it's not one I grew up with, but I very much enjoy it as kind of just. It's one of those kind of secluded movies where it's not in a lot of areas. They don't go travel a lot. It's just like kind of set in this area, and it's this weird kind of like espionage of social. Like they can't cross a lot of lines. They're in this weird, awkward, neutral territory where they don't want him to leave, but they can't capture him. But everyone has their own motives. Like Tom was talking about the French dude who's like, it's got to blow with the wind. Like I like that idea of that character of him, kind of playing to whatever side is, more favorable to him. But and then I like the idea of it, kind of like you guys are bringing up, like these aren't really endearing people because they are, like she cheated. He is just an angry grump, and then the only good one is the Victor guy. But it's more just like the scenario surrounding these people, and I like the payoff of Humphrey deciding to, or whatever his name is, in the Rick deciding to let them go on the plane at the end. His line, like Joseph said about you'll regret it eventually, whatever. But I don't know. I just feel like it has a lot of these mixing conflicts that I feel like they play really well throughout. And I like the beginning for like its ability to. Because I remember the first time watching it, I felt like it was pretty long, even though I did very much enjoy it. But then I was like, oh, you guys said last week it's only 140 minutes. I was like, really? So I went back and then rewatching. I actually didn't get to finish it because I completely forgot we were watching it until today. But but I got to like 20 minutes left. But the intro, I actually appreciated more of how well it introduced everything and kind of building the world and the rules that were set on this weird little island or wherever it is.
It's almost like the cantina scene in Star Wars. It's just
kind of like things going on. All this stuff. You don't need to know everything, but you need to know these people are coming. They want them, and someone has tickets that can get them out of there. And it's like that's all you really know. But then there's just this whole just battle of words the whole time and just trying to just figure out what's going on, who you can trust. And I like the one couple that comes in where she's like, do you trust him? Blah, blah, blah. And then you kind of see Humphrey's softer side with him, do 22, but then everyone's watching him, what he's doing. And you're like, this is such a weird, like boldness on his part to help out these people, but also puts forth the ideas of who everyone watching him, can they trust him? It's a weird, I don't know. It's a weird balance they kind of strike throughout the whole movie of I don't know. It's just the whole thing kind of like bounces on the edge of a knife the whole time with the conflicts and everything. And that's what in draws me into this movie so much watching it. I'm just like, I like everything that's playing here. Like I like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it better than that, but I enjoy it very much. It's like a weird tension throughout the whole thing, but not like conflicting tension violently or something like that. It's just like,
If I was Rick, as soon as she said, I was married, I'd be like, here's your papers.
Gosh,
get the heck out of here.
Damn, write your name on this paper. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. Also, the ending, it's too happy for me. It's just like, I kind of wish it was more ambiguous about what was going to happen to Rick. Even if it was just like the French guy, hey, you got a 20-minute, head start, get out of here.
Yeah, go.
Well, I thought the implication was that they both went off to fight Nazis in Africa.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't see that as happy. I'm like, a lot of the resistance died in Africa. So I mean, they're kind of marching off to uncertain doom almost.
Yeah, but they're
In my
like,
eyes, anyway.
yeah, but they're like they control their destiny. Is they're gonna go do it because they want to do it instead of like Rick, making the sacrifice that he did, and now he's gonna die in a camp, or he's gonna die in a shootout in some alley or something like that. So I wish it was kind of a darker ending than it actually was, but that was me. So yeah. Any other last words, scenes, characters you like, Jared?
The guy who played Carl, the older dude, was he in A Wonderful Life, or is that a different actor?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, not Carl. There was one guy. There was another guy that was in The Wonderful Life. He plays one of the Italian. He plays the Italian immigrant. He's in The Bar. I know who you're talking about, but it's not Carl. I forgot his name, but
So
I know who you're talking about.
you're talking about the big guy that kind of waits on people.
The maitre d' guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a delightful man, by the way. So,
Him in his little glass.
his little glass.
Oh yeah, he pops it out.
Like,
That's why I brought
hope you were
the
asked
good
that.
brand. So that's why I brought the good brandy and my own glass.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of funny parts in it, so that's good. It's just like the main thing, though. I don't know. The main two actors, the chemistry is just not there for me. All right.
The movie itself, like Jared says.
All right. So next time we have 19. I already lost it. It's Going My Way, 1944.
Are you
So
gonna go my way?
we'll see. We'll probably see you in the next year because I don't think we'll be able to record another one, but who knows? So if we don't, we'll see you next year in 2025. So like, subscribe, and notify yourself for even more good stuff, and we will see you next time. Bye.